Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Deborah Taylor, who is a book publisher who spends a lot of time helping other people with their books, but she does have an upcoming book series coming up in the future, and we are looking forward to talking about it. Deborah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's great to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
I am certainly ready to get started. Yeah, let's go.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Okay, so I think the most important thing for someone who's actually the process of writing their book is that they've started with a really good plan, and they've got a schedule and a deadline for finishing the writing. So, that's the most important thing. And then the other thing is to write and don't edit. When you're writing, write. Don't try to edit it at the same time. Otherwise, you will get a massive dose of imposter syndrome and fear, and you'll get snarled up. So just write.
Yeah, I could not agree more. One of the first things that I learned when I did my first book 4 years ago was just to write it, because if I tried to self-edit every paragraph or every chapter, I knew I was going to drive myself crazy. And it's the same technique I would suggest to my clients too, is just get everything out there. Get it out from your head via voice or via typing it up, writing it, whatever method you're going to use, but get everything out, because then we can fix it later.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. It's the only way to write.
Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, I think there are quite a few barriers. I think the technical process, what happens and when is difficult. But I think ultimately it's the maintenance of focus and keeping your motivation going to see the whole project through to the end, because typically it takes quite a while to write and publish a book. And do all the marketing and everything else that goes with it. You've got to have quite a bit of resilience to get through that. And that's why it's important, I think, to have somebody to support you and, keep you going, basically, and guide you along the way. But I do think that's the hardest bit.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you are planning to use in your book launches that you feel is going to work well.
Well, I really believe that having a good list of people who are really interested in your book is the foundation of all of your marketing. And that's where I would always start with. I know list building takes a certain amount of effort, but I think it also, if you've got a business, which my clients generally do, it's a great way to actually start growing and developing your business and expanding it before the book is published. So that's my number one thing, is make sure you've got a really good, responsive mailing list. Or if you're not into email marketing, build a really great Facebook page or group or something, just so that you can capture people's interest and stay in touch with them.
And what are some recommendations that you would have to be able to build those lists and to build up those social media groups?
I think it's really a case of making sure you write about the content of your book and not constantly saying, my book's coming. That's the most important thing. And also connect with people. So write a variety of different posts, find out which platforms you're finding your readers and focus on those, and discover by trying different things which posts they respond to the most. But be consistent and just keep going with it, because you will get results.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Well, I tend not to have favorite books, but one book I really, really resonated with me was one called Deep Work by Cal Newport. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have.
You have, yeah. I mean, I love the fact that if you're a writer, and he's written quite a few books himself, but if you're a writer, one of the things that's hardest to do is to find that focused time when you actually get something done. And his approach I really like. It's about blocking out time and, really focusing for that period on what you're doing. So it's a really nicely written book as well. It's really good.
Yeah, that's one of my philosophies too, is I always want to block out specific time periods and just all you do during that time is focus on that area. TV's off, Wi-Fi's off, just everything's just focused on that one thing. Because it's amazing how much more productive you are if you can do those 90-minute to 2-hour cycles and just get it done.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's probably the only way really to get a book done.
Well, for our final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Okay, so one of my favourite ones is by William Faulkner, and he says, "Get it down, take chances. It may be bad, but it's the only way you can do anything really good." And that is so true. And the thing I think most people struggle with most is the thought that they're not writing anything that's good. But as soon as you throw that away and you just focus on getting your voice, out, getting your words out, you'll find that you'll get lost in it and you'll take off and you'll stop worrying. So forget about whether it's good or bad. Just get it out and get it down.
And that's what I tell most people. It's just all you're doing is telling a story. It's the same thing as you're having a conversation with someone else. It is just it's a little louder conversation. It's a little more amplified because it's going to the masses. But all you're doing is wanting to connect with the reader. And how do you do that? You have a conversation. I think that's the biggest challenge for people dealing with what you mentioned earlier with imposter syndrome, is that people struggle so much with that. I'm like, hey, everyone has a story. There's a reason that less than 1% of the people on this that want to actually get their books done never get it done, because they either don't know how to do it or they feel that they're not an expert. Well, everyone's an expert. Everyone has something great that they can share in the world, and there's no better way to do it than sharing it in the book.
Absolutely, because books stay around, and they talk across the centuries, which is what I love about them.
Absolutely. Well, Deborah, I want to thank you for being a guest on this show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
The best way is through my website, which is booklaunchyourbusiness.com. That's definitely the best way to find me. I've got lots of blogs on there as well.
Deborah, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.